Hey guys, it's Dr. Steve. I'm coming to you from the floor today to show you guys a daily routine that you can use to increase your flexibility, your mobility, decrease pain, and things like that. Can be used and should be used nearly every day to get your movement going for the day. So we'll call it your daily prep. So it's a series of about 15 to 16 different exercises that we will start with on the floor. And I do think that they need to be done in this progression for lots of reasons, but just kind of bear with me. If at any point during the exercises you feel like your body's had enough, then just stop there and continue to work up to that point over multiple days until you can start to add other exercises once they start feeling good. So the first one we're going to start with is just movement of our neck. So we're going to need to lay on our back here like this, and we're just going to check all of our range of motion here. So we'll start with rotations. There's really no reps or sets with any of this stuff. I just kind of want you to go until you feel like you have control and there's no stiffness or soreness or anything with it. From there, we're going to do ears to shoulders, back and forth again until we don't feel so stiff or sore or tight. Then after that, what we're going to do is chin lifts to neck extensions here like this. Again, back and forth, thinking about kind of curling that chin down and giving ourselves a double chin, and then extending back as far as we can, trying to think about making this bottom part of our jaw a tabletop where we could set a cup on maybe. And just kind of going again back and forth on that until everything feels okay. From there, we're going to start getting the body a little bit more involved, and we're going to start with snow angels here like this. So we're just going to go back and forth again until we don't really feel any stiffness or anything in our body. And once we're feeling good there, we're going to come up into this kind of tabletop position we call dying bug. And we're going to start with a symmetrical extension of all of our limbs. And once we feel pretty good about that one, then we are going to switch to an asymmetrical version of the same sort of pattern. From here, we're going to lay back flat, and we're going to do a couple of things to where we start to roll over to being face down. There's a couple of different patterns for rolling. One is the lower pattern on one side, lower pattern going back, lower pattern on the other side, lower pattern coming back, upper pattern pulling us across this way, upper pattern going back, upper pattern going across, upper pattern coming back. Again, just play with them until they feel nice and well coordinated, and we're going to want to end on a down roll here. From here, we're going to try to work some spine extensions here like this. We're going to do a passive version here, and then we're going to do an active version here. And a passive, then an active. A passive, and an active. Again, just going until we feel like that position has been well greased, as we call it. From there, we're going to go into a plank position, either here on elbows or up onto hands here if you want. And I would just hold this until we feel like our core is really well engaged, and then we're going to come into a tabletop position. From this tabletop position, we're going to work on an exercise called bird dog, just kind of alternating our legs back and forth. If you want to get the most out of this exercise, you can put a yoga block or a ball here on your back so that when you're doing this, you're not tipping towards one side, so you'll alert yourself if you are doing as such. So again, we'll just kind of go back and forth on these until we're feeling pretty good with the movement, no aches or pains or stiffness. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do some rock backs here like this, just coming down to sitting until that motion feels good. And then from there, we're going to curl down. And I want you just to breathe in this position here, thinking about long exhales until you get rid of all the stiffness that you feel with any of your breath. From there, we're going to rock back up and try to extend ourselves as far as we can. Again, breathing until it feels okay. Once all the stiffness and everything is gone here, we can do a couple of transitions through this plane we call the sagittal plane, front to back, until that's feeling pretty well greased. And then we're going to start working on side bends from one side to the next, thinking about starting with just holds, focusing on our breath again, waiting until all the stiffness and pain and discomfort goes away. Switching to the other side, same thing, maybe working out areas that feel a little stiff and tight and sore by thinking about long exhale breaths. And then from there, kind of tick-tocking back and forth between the two positions until they don't feel so stiff or sore. And then the last one from this position that we're going to do is rotational, side to side here like this. Thinking about starting with holds, again, working out any stiffness that we feel by using our breath. Going to the other side, working through, and then again, tick-tocking ourselves back and forth until this feels okay. The next position that we're going to go into is a lunge position here like this, and I'm going to move the camera up so you guys can see me for the rest of the video. So we're going to come up here. And from here, what we want to do is get into a lunge position on one side. I want you to walk your heel out over in front of your opposite side knee until you start to feel like you're kind of on the edge of balance, to where it feels a little bit difficult but not impossible to control. And then we're going to start again with a symmetrical challenge of this by swinging our arms up and down. And then once that feels good, we can do an asymmetrical challenge of this position here like this until it feels like I have control. Then we're going to switch to kind of this jumping jack idea where we're controlling the frontal plane now, and then switching to asymmetrical once we feel like we have control of that. The last thing that we're going to need to do here is transverse plane. So we're going to control here to start symmetrically, and then we're going to try to open it up to asymmetrical challenges on both sides. Once we're done there, we would do the same thing, but on the opposite side. So again, symmetrical, asymmetrical, symmetrical, asymmetrical, symmetrical, and asymmetrical on both sides until we move on to the next position once we feel comfortable. The next position from there is going to be our split stance. So we're going to come up into this position here. Again, walking the front leg out in back of the back leg until we feel like we can't really control it. Starting over again with our three-plane challenge. Symmetrical, asymmetrical, symmetrical, asymmetrical, and then symmetrical, asymmetrical. Woohoo. Again, just finding the edge and then switching to here. Same thing again, here to here. Once we have control, we switch. Once we have control, we switch. And then once we have control, we switch until we feel like we have control again. From there, we're going to go into a tall standing position and then just work kind of full range of motion again like we did when we were kneeling. Hanging out here, thinking about that deep breathing that we were doing until we don't really feel any tightness or stiffness. And then once we feel good there, we're going to come up overhead and bend backwards, making sure that we're breathing here, coming off if we're feeling shaking and just hanging out where we have control, and finding a spot where we can breathe and have no pain or stiffness or discomfort. From there, we're going to go into side bending from one side to the other. And we can also, before we switch, just do multiple repetitions of full movement here, again until that's feeling good, and then we'll switch to a side hold, breathing through to get rid of any discomfort, switching sides, breathing through to get rid of any discomfort, thinking about long exhales as we do that. And then from there, we'll go into rotations, starting to hold here. And then same thing on the other side, after we've cleared them out, kind of tick-tocking ourselves back and forth. Once that feels good, we're going to go into a single leg stance, doing our challenges again. Asymmetrical here. We can make this more complicated by doing these kinds of movements. We need to switch to where it's more like gait, so getting the leg involved if you want. If that is too tough, then you can just do our arms on their own. And then we'll challenge frontal plane again, alternating, transverse plane alternating, which can be very difficult. And then switching sides, again starting with this here, doing alternating, making it more like gait by doing alternating arm and leg here like this. Once we have control, again switching to this, and then alternating, and then transverse, transverse alternating. I have a little trouble with this right hip, so then we would find a way to modify that where we would step onto a step or something like that to give us a little more control while we're working on that movement that I'm having trouble with, or that you're having trouble with. From there, the last thing that we're going to do is a form of jumping jack that includes a normal jumping jack that looks like this, a split jack that looks like this, a split jack on the other side that looks like this, and then a rotation to where we start the whole thing over. So jumping jack, split jack on the other side, rotation back the other way. So we would go back and forth on those until we're feeling a little bit tired. And then the last thing we're going to finish off in is a deep squat hold here like this. Again, trying to catch our breath back down to where we're feeling normal. Just hang out here or wherever your squat kind of lets you hang out. If you need the wall for support, or if you need a door jamb for support in order to get further down, then start there and eventually try to get yourself away from needing that kind of thing. So that's a pretty good daily prep for you. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, as always, feel free to reach out to me here at the clinic. Until next time, we'll see you then. Take care.